Hello and welcome back. This time we're doing the worst possible series, following the same rules as the best possible series. So you pick every episode number and you just pick the worst episode. Fairly simple, really. As we've already introduced ourselves, we're not going to reintroduce. I'm Joel.
Neve.
The girl one's Neve, and the squeaky boy one is Finn. So I'll talk a lot. Neve will talk a bit. Finn will hardly say a word. It's pretty much how it's going to go. We've literally just finished the good list for all the best episodes for the best possible series. So we're in a pretty good mood, but that's probably going to turn sour. But then there's nothing Whovians love more than a good rant about our least favourite episodes. So we're just going to sort of let loose about this. So episode 1, also spoiler, a lot of these are going to be Jodie Whittaker episodes for her, I'm sure.
I mean, we have to be realistic here.
Yes.
It's just nonsense.
I did try not to just pick Whittaker episodes, but sometimes it's difficult when the content is so bad. So episode 1, I've gone for New Earth. It's easily my least favourite opening for a series.
I've gone for New Earth as well.
New Earth?
The Woman Who Fell to Earth.
You've gone for the Woman Who Fell to Earth, but... Alright, okay, so... just to touch on New Earth, absolutely misses the point. There's a potential for a really dark story there, with this story about humans being used as lab rats and grown, and then we just totally abandon all that for some weird Russell T Davies shenanigans. I mean, you can't have body swapping in your first episode for a Doctor.
Yeah, and I don't like Cassandra. She's quite literally a trampoline, as they say. She is literally a trampoline. And I just don't like her character. Going on about moisturiser, like, why?
See, I liked her in The End of the World. I think she was very good in The End of the World. But I also think one of my favourite Eccleston moments is when he just kills her without hesitation.
Oh.
So... I love it. I love my Dark Eccleston moments. But it ruins...
My favourite episode, the favourite moment, he kills her. It's great. Fantastic. Apparently, according to you.
It ruins that episode with the fact that he doesn't actually kill her. She survives inexplicably and they bring her back.
It's literally like the Slovenes in London again.
I really hate the plot resolution as well.
Yeah.
So the Doctor takes all these medicines, mixes them in a bowl, and then he cures every disease in the world. I'm just going, oh, does that mean every disease in the world is cured now? It's also such a stupid thing.
Like,
is there not going to
they
be any
would have done
consequences?
that already if they could do that.
Let's take all these medicines, stir them in a bowl, and then you can just touch people if you've had it, and you can cure them of everything. It's such a cop-out. For a first story, you could have had a really dark story, because obviously in the Christmas Invasion, they'd had no second chances, I'm that kind of a man. They were setting Tennant up to be a darker Doctor, and then in Series 2, they sort of just totally abandoned that.
He's quite literally the opposite.
He's sort
Until
of bouncing
he
off the walls.
loses Donna, and then he becomes a bit insane.
The laws of time are mine.
And
But
they
they will
will
obey
obey
me! Yeah. The Woman Who Fell to Earth, Finn. Why that one? Because I think that would be towards the lower end, but I don't think it's a bad episode.
It didn't. I don't really think it had that good of a plot. It was just when you think about all the openers they've ever had, 11th Hour,
Impossible Astronaut,
Rose,
Deep Breath,
Impossible
Rose, Smith and
Astronaut,
Jones.
yeah, stuff like that. And then you have that.
Well, I think as far as RTT goes, not RTT, not the same.
Chibnall.
Chibnall. As far as Chibnall goes, Finn, that is a masterpiece.
It's a fairly decent Chibnall
Yeah.
script, even though Tim Shaw is a bit
Yeah, I don't like the villain,
ineffectual.
and it's just a pretty rubbish storyline. It's just, oh, let's make this planet come here for a game to be king, and he's gonna cheat. That's
Yeah.
how the entire story's gonna go.
And it's the teeth guy as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
a bit
See,
weird.
I don't mind The Woman Who Fell to Earth. I think it's actually, it's definitely among the better
I think it's alright.
Whittaker script. It's not great by any stretch, but I don't really have a problem with it.
No, it's like after that, it goes to pot.
And
It's
I
alright.
actually quite like some of the companion introductions in that as well. And I
Yeah.
think moments like Grace's death are quite well done.
I think in that episode, it actually gave like a kind of meaning for the companions for doing this. Like, obviously, you actually see the companions living their lives and the struggles they've normally face. Whereas after that,
The thing is, I was so excited for the Whittaker era to come along, but that episode wasn't what disappointed me. It was actually the episodes that sort of continued after that disappointed me. I remember actually finishing it and me going, that was okay. It could be good.
yeah, I remember you telling me, because I asked, and you were like, oh yeah, it's actually decent. I think this could be good.
how wrong I can possibly be. For episode 2, this is pretty much a toss-up between two Whittaker stories for me. Spyfall Part 2 is not really one I enjoy, but at least it was ambitious in its failure, even though the plot is all over the place, and I really hate the redestruction of Gallifrey. But I've just gone for the Ghost Monument because it was boring. I remember when I watched it the first time after The Woman Who Fell to Earth being quite enthused, and it was really boring, and it has that sort of very Chibnall era show not tell thing where they just tell and don't show. No one dies in the whole story. It's very impressive in terms of a cinematic way. It's beautiful to watch. That crash at the start looks amazing.
Looks amazing, yeah.
But after that, it just really goes nowhere, and the villains are basically a bunch of rags that get up and go, "The timeless child," and that is literally the entire thing.
And also, you see a lot of Whittaker's no guns thing, which is more David Tennant's thing. It's not really. He's just
some of it,
but
it feels
not as good.
It feels like a very Terry Nation script. I know you won't know what that is, but from the 60s. But then those Terry Nation
I thought
scripts...
that was some fancy English word that I didn't understand.
Terry Nation, it's a name.
Oh. So thick.
Terry Nation. It feels like a very Terry Nation in its ideas in terms of they would go to planets and then there'd be different sort of weird obstacles. But then those scripts would have Daleks in them. So they would obviously be better, and also they would have Hartnell, Ian, Barbara and Susan or Vicky in them, so they'd be better. It was when I think I started to go, oh, maybe the series is not going to be great. Maybe I don't really enjoy these companions. So I feel like I've talked about that for a while, so
I'll 4 minutes or something.
I'll let you move on.
Well, I put Spyfall Part 2 because although Spyfall Part 1 was okay, as far as Chibnall goes, it's actually pretty decent.
You agree with that, Finn?
Yeah.
Whereas you put Spyfall Part 2 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just thought it was the master reveal. Obviously that happens at the end of Part 1, but I already guessed that he was bad. It was quite obvious.
It was a good twist, but in hindsight it derails the entire story because
ruins
the
Master's
story
arc.
It
redemption arc. It just ruins it.
It completely obliterates Missy's arc.
Look, until they actually tell me that he comes after Missy, I will not believe it.
No, they better never. They should just not.
But it does derail the story because there was a really interesting story with the Kasavan. The weird white things that are in Spyfall Part 1.
Oh, yeah.
But then that sort of gets totally put on the back burner in Spyfall Part 2, and Lenny Henry's villain, who I really enjoyed, he gets put on the back burner as well. The plot resolution is basically... It's such a criminal plot resolution. So the plot resolution is the Doctor goes back in time and just makes a few adjustments to the machine so it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you're going, well, it's like in The Parting of the Ways when the Doctor can't go back to make the Delta Waves.
Surely,
I'm part of events now, I can't leave.
Time can be rewritten, but if it's surely that time would be fixed.
Yeah, because she's already part of events. Also, Spyfall Part 1's cliffhanger was such a good cliffhanger. And then the thing is, actually, Jodie Whittaker just went back in time and she installed something to the plane so they didn't crash.
Yeah.
It just felt like an absolute cop-out. You won't have seen it, there's a parody written by Stephen Moffat in the 90s called The Curse of Fatal Death, and they literally have this joke where the Doctor and the Master keep going back to bribe the architect of the building. And it's literally that. So the entire plot resolution to the cliffhanger and then to the whole episode takes place off-screen. Mm-hmm. And then obviously it ends with... Gallifrey.
Oh, what have they done? What even?
There's not a lot of love for things that Chris Chibnall's done in this.
Alright, I think I've got a theory. They've fallen into a parallel universe. Please just come out with something like that. Please.
Or what if Capaldi hasn't actually regenerated? Just got a knock on the head. He's imagining what his life could be, and then he's going to be like, oh my days, and leave.
Yeah. Come on, Bill, Nardole, come on. Let's go.
We've got to run away as far as we can. Can't have that happen.
So you've both gone for that for episode 2. Episode 3, I'm expecting pretty much blanket agreement. Or for 55. Oh man, that was... I mean, you can sort of laugh about it. It's so bad.
I laugh at the Benny thing.
You can
Benny! The cat person, right? How is it possible that in the Russell T Davies era, with no budget, the cat people look... I mean, they don't look amazing, but they look so good. They look much better than they do in the Cats musical. And then the person who they just look like they're dressed up. They look like a person at a fancy dress party.
Even, the makeup for it wasn't even, it didn't even look like a cat. It didn't even look like it was done by a professional.
I've watched 60s Doctor Who, when they literally made it on a shoestring budget. And I was like, that is one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And the ending, when she just turns around and goes, right now, fam, I'm going to talk about global warming. I'm like, shut up! You can't just turn to the screen and go, we need to change our ways or we're going to be dead. Why is she from Bolton now? I don't know.
The whole
Yorkshire,
thing
whatever.
about it, Orphan 55 being Earth and it just being...
It ruins the whole established timeline of Earth. You know, there's that line in the end of the world where it's like, you think you're going to be killed by beef or global warming, but what you don't realise is you survive. Or maybe you don't, and you all turn into dregs for some reason. The thing is, the dregs are a really creepy design, but they don't do anything. They kill one guy off screen. What's the point in that?
They don't kill that old woman as well.
That's
the Benny women.
the bad thing about
Wilma, whatever her name is.
I don't
Do you know, through the whole of Series 12, every single, for the last 4 or 5 episodes, it was rumoured that she was going to return. And then in the Timeless Children, it was like, guaranteed that she's coming back this week to get revenge for Benny. And I was like, I really flipping hope they had
that would have been so funny.
To be honest, it would have been better than what we actually got.
You killed my Benny!
Whacking her with a handbag.
Like the old woman in Madagascar.
Yeah, exactly like that. Okay, moving on, because we could really rant about that all day. Episode 4, I'm expecting everyone to have sort of a very similar one.
Arachnids
in the UK.
Yep.
So Ryan lures the spiders into a lair with grime music, and then it's that flipping line. It was like, this is the sickest grime station ever. I'm like, Chibnall, are you trying to write lines just like, hey, what do teenagers speak like? Yeah, fam, this is the greatest grime station ever. Yaz, you're so uncool right now.
No one talks like that. Ever.
And, oh man.
It's so awful. And the doctor's morals out the window. She won't let the guy shoot the spider to put it out his misery. Instead, she wants it to suffocate, which honestly can't think anything worse. Like, that's horrific. It's just suffering and suffocating. And she traps them all in a room to eat each other. Like, what the heck?
And he's basically a Donald Trump analogy, and he's not even subtle. They actively talk about Donald Trump in the episode.
Yeah.
And he's like, why can't you guys just shoot people, carry guns and shoot things like a normal country?
The Ed Sheeran thing's stupid as well. You Ed Sheeran, everyone talks about Ed Sheeran. It's like, no, you don't.
It's a total mess of an episode.
Like, well,
and it could have been good. Like, I remember when I heard that they were doing a story called The Arachnids in the UK and they were going to do big spiders, I was like, oh, that could be really well, because obviously I've watched Harry Potter, Aragog, I've watched Lord of the Rings with Shelob, seen them in The Hobbit, loads of stuff. It's not a rare thing to do giant spiders.
No.
But Man Alive, they totally butcher it. Because the spiders don't do anything. It's like, oh, these poor spiders. It must be better if they were intelligent spiders.
But
maybe
they were
aliens.
confused spiders. They didn't understand why they were so
And they
big.
were born out of, landfill.
Yeah. I mean, that's not totally out of the show's usual, because obviously the Green Death had the maggots that became giant because of that. But I just feel like with spiders, because there's a story in season 11, which is Pertwee's last season, called Planet of the Spiders, with giant spiders. And because it was series 11, I was excited thinking, oh, maybe they're going to do those giant spiders. They're intelligent. They come from a planet called Metabelus 3. Maybe they're going to do that. Nope. Just normal house spiders.
The thing is, why couldn't she have taken the spiders to an uninhabited planet? That's not even a word. To a planet that's not no one lives on that planet, and they take it there.
Yeah.
Like, there's loads of them. She always says there's
because they're going to die, because they're too big that they start to suffocate.
And then she should have put them somewhere. She could have done something.
Should have put them down.
Yeah, you can't do that.
And
instead of leaving them to eat each other.
Can you think of a more horrific way to die? Like, I know.
Hey, Larry, what's up?
Can you imagine if we were left to starve and started eating each other? Like, that'd be the most creepiest thing ever.
Yeah.
5. Saranga Conundrum for me.
Yes. I actually spent like 5 minutes
Yeah.
yesterday trying to pronounce that.
Suranga Conundrum. Chris Chibnall cannot name things. Here, what should we call our finale, boss? The Battle of Ranskur av Kolos. That's catchy. That just rolls off the tongue.
I had to put in brackets the Pating one because I had no clue what it was called.
That villain is so bad.
In the first 5 minutes, it actually threatens to be interesting. Then they kill off their only interesting cast member. And again, in the Chibnall era, we're stuck with a bunch of useless, pointless, bland side characters that add absolutely nothing to the story.
Like a man that's pregnant and...
yeah. And now,
some other people.
and then Yaz drop kicks the Pating. It's like, this is one of the deadliest creatures in the universe. And Yaz drop kicks it. It's such a stupid story. And we spend like 10 minutes with Ryan and Graham while they're holding this guy's hand while he has a baby and talking about giving it up for adoption. Naming it avocado. And it's like, what are we doing? Chris, what is this? This is the whole list is not going to be Jodie Whittaker. Actually, I've only got one more good Jodie Whittaker story on my list.
She couldn't defeat the Pating, so didn't she just chuck it out the window or something?
She just put it in space.
Yeah, she can't defeat it, so let's just leave it to go somewhere else and start.
They have a real problem in Series 11 where they never kill off the villains.
Yeah.
Like, ever.
They never kill off anything. Anyone, anything.
It's like Christian was
against killing off the villains.
Killing off anyone, apart from until you get to the time with children, and then they don't actually kill.
And they kill off the entire of Gallifrey.
Or the lone Cyberman, who's had the potential to be interesting, and they just shrink him.
Yeah, we haven't got that yet. We will.
What the heck?
Okay, right. I want to stop talking about the Whittaker era. Episode 6, I've gone for the Lazarus Experiment.
Oh. I've got Praxis.
I've got Praxis.
Praxis. Okay, so you two can rant about Whittaker and then I'll rant about the Lazarus Experiment.
Okay, well, I already knew that the people... I don't remember very much from Praxis. All I remember was rubbish. It's not one that's going to stick in my head. There's a lot of
pointless side characters in that as well.
And the people that were the villains, I knew were the villains. They just seemed like they would be villains. I don't know why. Then there was the weird... the birds and the weird infection thing, and it's just rubbish. It was a political statement against global warming again.
It was just another one about Chibnall trying to go, hey kids, don't throw away your litter.
It was don't put your rubbish in the sea.
The thing is with so many of the things in the Chibnall era, when it comes to actually making political messages, when I've always compared it to something like Oxygen has this sort of commentary on capitalism, but that's far more interesting. They just take basic things that pretty much 99% of the world agree on. There's no interesting message about racism in Rosa. The entire message is, racism is bad, kids. But there's no more interesting thing about that.
Whereas in
Rosa was a good episode.
Inversion, the Doctor's whole entire speech on war and about how loads of people die, and at the end it just takes two people to sit down and actually talk it out.
The only story that isn't like that is Demons of the Punjab, because that's about radicalisation. So that's actually a more interesting topic. But with global warming, there's no message about global warming. It's just global warming's bad. And in this one, it's just plastics are bad. You need to actually have some more substance to a political message.
For Demons of Punjab, they do it really well.
I'm not against politics in Doctor Who. I'm actually very pro it, but it just has to be done correctly.
But Demons of Punjab's all about that split up between...
Yeah, Partition of India.
Yeah.
Well, I've gone for Lazarus Experiment for episode 6. Honestly, I've slagged off all 55's cat makeup. Nothing on this. What on earth were the CGI team doing? And the fact that this creature, which is like a massive 30-foot crab with a human face on the front that flaps in the wind, is supposed to be an evolutionary throwback. At some point in human history, we could have evolved into this crab with a human on the face on the front. How am I supposed to buy that? Also, Tennant treats Martha.
You're not really supposed to buy
Tennant treats Martha appallingly, and I'm not over him just dropping her off at the beginning of this episode and being like, "No place like home," and then he actively leaves, and he only comes back because he hears something interesting. And at the end, he's like,
he was just going to leave and never come back again.
At the end, he's like, "Oh, you were never just a passenger, really." And it's like, "Well, you just left her at the start of the episode."
Yeah.
Martha's mum's in this. Martha's mum's annoying. So many of the stuff in Lazarus Experiment just doesn't work. It's an episode that's there because it has to be paid off in the finale. Because that machine is what the Master uses to age the Doctor up. But it feels like they just didn't have a plot. Mark Gatiss is very good in this. I really like his performance. And there's some good lines. There was an idea, but it failed miserably.
Yeah.
I think.
Not just with bad CGI, it just wasn't.
No, but the CGI was horrific.
And that really doesn't help. Episode 7. Are we all going to agree on Kill the Moon?
Yeah, we are.
Man alive. I mean, I don't like to slag off Capaldi episodes because he is my Doctor and I love Capaldi, but the moon is an egg.
I know. And then it hatches and gets replaced with another egg. That is literally the entirety of the episode.
It hatches into a creature who then lays an egg bigger than itself.
Straight away. As soon as it hatches.
I mean, that's just not how pregnancies work. I mean,
I didn't even think about that.
it's such a... I don't know if it was supposed to be an abortion metaphor, but obviously people picked up on that. But it just totally doesn't work. The Doctor's so out of character. He has this whole thing where he just goes off and it's like, oh, it's okay, I'll let the humans decide. I was like, have you been in the last 50 years of this show? You can't let humans do anything.
Like, that's the only reason I actually like it. Whenever Clara confronts him at the end,
that last scene is great.
That she just made her feel so stupid, and that she almost did the wrong thing, and like she doesn't want anything else to do with him. Because I think sometimes the Doctor does things that he just sometimes doesn't treat his companions right.
That's the only redeeming scene, and there's like amazing acting in that scene at the end. But it shouldn't have been there because the Doctor would never leave a companion like that, and he would never leave the lives of a completely innocent creature in the hands of human beings
who are known to be...
I mean, he was there on Starship UK when they had literally strapped a defenceless creature to the bottom of an entire nation. And he was like, nobody human has anything to say to me today. And now he's just like, well, I know perfectly well that this magic dragon that's inside this egg is going to be fine and it will just lay another egg. But you know what? I'm going to let humans with nuclear bombs decide instead. It's so bizarre.
Yeah. Even after he saw what Harriet Jones ordered for the Sycorax that came along,
he deposed an entire government because of that.
Yeah. Why do you think that the humans this time are going to do the right thing? He also almost literally left them to die there.
And I like Courtney Woods is in this as well. I'm not a fan.
No, but he did leave a child to die. Also.
He also left, dodgy morality here. Episode 8, I've gone for The Lie of the Land, the conclusion to the Monk trilogy. We are now in a dystopian future, which everyone suddenly forgets about at the end. Love saves the day, with Bill's mum saving the day. The Doctor has an annoying fake regeneration for no apparent reason. This is Series 10's one real dud. I absolutely despised it when I watched it this time. It was only my second viewing of it, really. I was just really angry the whole way through.
Love saves the day is just not a strong,
But they had an actual plan to save the day. It's like, we're going to plug the Doctor's mind in and he's going to feed the information and all of humanity is going to become unbrainwashed. But then it just doesn't work, but Bill's mum can save the day.
Yeah, and because she wasn't alive whenever the monks took over, so it's like a monk-free memory.
Yeah, I've got the exact same thing down.
The monks have been so intriguing for, the first two stories, but they never actually... They're hardly even in this episode.
Yeah.
It's such a crime to not get round to them.
And also, Bill shoots the Doctor. That doesn't seem...
He shoots the Doctor and it's like, good girl, we were hoping you would shoot me. What?
What the heck? If you think about it, before she met him, she would never have shot him, and the Doctor doesn't like changing people, so...
It's bizarre. We had to be sure you weren't under the monk's control. So we wanted to make you angry, so angry that you would try and murder me. And they actually imply that they forgot to take the bullets out. So she actually did shoot him, and then he promptly regenerated into himself. Are we supposed to... Oh, man, that's a weird one. I know, Finn, you've gone for the same thing as me.
I put the Witchfinders. That was rubbish.
See, I don't agree. I enjoyed Alan Cumming as King James quite a bit. And Bradley Walsh is great in that episode. I don't think it's that bad. It's not great. But I do think Joy Wilkinson's script has its merits. The end of it is just absolute rubbish. I'm not normally one for criticising plot resolutions that much. And there's some people who, every single Doctor Who story, they're like, well, that's too quick, that's too quick. But in this story, those creatures, the Moraks, come out of the hill, and King James goes, burn the witch! Throw some fire at them, and then the whole story ends.
That's why it's just so bad, because it just ends, and it's like nothing even happened. Things with quick endings, it's
Power
almost
of 3
like it was
as well.
Pointless.
Yeah, it does.
Power of 3 with the Doctor.
The thing is, what people wanted when they extended the episodes from 45 minutes to 50 minutes was 5 more minutes to focus on endings.
Yeah.
But all we got is more time to spend in the middle section doing nothing.
Yeah.
And then very little time on endings. That's a feature of the Chibnall era. And I think that's definitely one of the biggest offenders.
But I think we are going to have...
are we going to agree on episode 9 as well?
Sleep No More.
I don't know.
Sleep No More.
I didn't put that.
You didn't put that? Okay, Sleep No More, the found footage episode. The Sleep in Your Eye idea is so stupid. I've put 3 Capaldi episodes in a row. I feel bad. But seriously, Series 9 was going along so well for the first 8 episodes, and this happens and just takes It's difficult to watch. It's actively difficult to watch.
Monsters made us sleep. Like what? What even happened?
The thing is, there's an interesting idea there about a sort of a capitalist society which, forces its workers to use this machine so that they can work 23 hours a day.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Totally going off on a tangent. In an episode, does the Doctor lose at the end of it? I'm still confused by that ending. The Doctor appears to lose. I don't think it's creepy. I think it fails in everything it sets out to achieve. And it's my least favourite Mark Gatiss script.
I put It Takes You Away.
No, I really enjoyed It Takes You Away.
I did not. I thought it was going alright. I did not like the little girl. She was really annoying me.
I don't think she was a very good actress.
She was really, really good, but she really frustrated me by running across the thing because, it's
she wears an
dangerous.
Arctic Monkeys t-shirt though, so she's cool.
It was really dangerous. Obviously, I didn't like her dad for scaring her into staying there. It was going alright, but then the frog, like what the heck? It was the frog, and it was just... Oh,
it's some of the weird, quirky things that the frog that speaks with Grace's voice, but I don't mind it. It doesn't totally take the wind out of what was a very interesting episode with, its backwards mirrors and this extra universe.
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't put it below Sneak No More. I actually thought that it was pretty... It's one of my favourite Wet Career episodes so far.
There was a frog and... Literally, I was watching, I was like, it's alright. And then the frog came on, I was like, what the heck is happening?
You're failing to get past the frog here.
I can't even look past the frog.
I love the scene at the end with Ryan, when Ryan calls Graham Grandad for the first time.
Yes, that is nice. It's an actual bit of character development.
Yeah.
That is rare. They are to come by.
Yeah, I feel like I'm... Actually, I came here expecting to be praising the Whittaker series, criticising the Whittaker series, and now I'm just like, every time you just say it, I'm like, actually, that's not such a bad episode.
Actually, I think maybe you might have a bit of a long rant to say about the next one.
The worst episode of the entire show, classic and new, as someone who has seen all 300 odd stories, someone who has read some of the comics, read some of the books, listened to some of the audios, is The Timeless Children.
Yep.
I physically cannot put into words how much I despise the very existence, and I've tried to be upbeat in this video, even though we're talking about things that annoy me, but I'm going to really struggle now.
Can I put Love and Monsters?
What?
What did I
For a second I was like, we really might have to disown you.
If you couldn't hear what he said there, he said, I put Love and Monsters. I would have disowned you. I would have chucked you out of this room. It may be your room, but I chucked you out of it.
Yeah, I might have actually just chucked you out that window. Which would probably result in your immediate death, which would be really, really sad. But I mean...
But deserved. There was so many... I was nervous when I went into this one for the first time. Because you already knew, because I watched it before you, so I'd already told you there was something coming that was going to be very controversial. I was nervous about The Timeless Child, but I was like, I really hope that it's anything other than previous incarnations of the Doctor. It's previous incarnations of the Doctor.
Oh,
they spend
so
40
bad.
minutes in the Matrix with the Master just giving exposition after exposition, giving the entire history of Gallifrey with diagrams. You should never demystify Gallifrey.
You don't need to know
ever.
Where everything comes from. A bit of mystery is nice. It's good.
And the fact is, some people have said, I saw some people defend it online afterwards saying that, if you take the Timeless Child elements out, it's a good story. I'm like, well,
the whole entire story.
It's not. Everything's rubbish. Ashad's in it. He's great. He was great in the last story, but he's killed off. The Master camps it up to 100. I really enjoyed him in Spyfall Part 2, Sacha Dhawan, but I did not enjoy him in Timeless Children. He's way too over the top. You can't be so simultaneously dark and so silly.
The Lone Cyberman's death was stupid.
They had this cool new Cyberman design, which was introduced in the Ascension of the Cybermen, which they then just blow up and they don't get to do anything.
Yeah, but I did feel like the compounds were actually in danger for once. When they were hiding. I don't think it was really obvious where they were hiding. That is probably where I'd hide, and I'm stupid, so... The
Cyber Time Lords are way over the top, way too camp for me with the design. And I really hate the ending. I really hate the fact that, we get that moment where it's, where Jodie Whittaker's on the button and the Master is goading her into pressing the button. And you think, she doesn't want to do it because she doesn't want to wipe out any life on Gallifrey. But then this random guy just comes along.
And he's like, I'll do it. And she's like, right, fine.
And legs it off.
Runs off.
And then...
The Doctor would never do that. It's not the Doctor.
Out of absolutely nowhere, the Jadoon, you can somehow teleport inside the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Which you can't do, because isn't it in
The
like
combined
a little,
hordes of
like,
Genghis
pocket?
Khan couldn't get through
Isn't
that
it like a
wall.
pocket of, like,
Believe
some
me,
kind
they've tried.
dimension or pocket, different dimension, so like no one can teleport in.
That's
A
another thing.
Dalek
Is it
Empire
not in
couldn't
some
get
kind
through
of-
that door.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
they should have just
literally,
nicked
they're
some
like,
to
"Hello."
Doomtech, because they can clearly... I hate everything. I hate everything in this episode.
We never actually mentioned the fact that the Doctor brings time touch.
The Timeless Child ruins the entire character of the Doctor. I'm choosing to ignore it at this point.
There's also
I
that.
wanted it to so bad to be the Master, and I really hope it is.
There's also that bit where can't remember what episode it is. The post just comes into the TARDIS. That post guy just comes into the TARDIS.
Kablam as well. In the Winter
Yeah.
Career, they've just clearly forgotten that the TARDIS has shields.
Also, in
Yeah.
Orphan 55, when Graham gets those tickets to the place, and he presses that teleport, it teleports him out the TARDIS to the place. But it doesn't just teleport Graham, it teleports everyone. Like, how far does that thing go? It can teleport anyone.
Yeah, this has messed up the whole show. The thing is, I'm excited for Revolution of the Daleks. I still am. I'll be honest, I'm still excited
Jack
for
is
it.
back.
But I really hope they don't address it. I really hope they don't mention the Timeless Child thing once. I hope they don't even make any allusions to, I had a bad day, learned some things about myself, because it will ruin my Christmas if I have to think about the Timeless
It
Child.
will. Like, Christmas is already probably pretty ruined
Depre-
anyway, so
the
we
thing
don't
is-
need it to be ruined anymore.
We're on election day right now, the US election. I stayed up watching it last night. We don't know exactly what's going to happen now. There's been coronavirus, Sean Connery has died, there's been some pretty awful things, but the Timeless Child is much worse than coronavirus.
And a lot of terrorist attacks as well.
That's the worst.
Bad.
Still number one, the worst thing that's happened this year is the Timeless Child.
Yeah.
Despise. Right. We might not agree on the next one.
No, I think.
Actually, we probably will.
I got fear her.
Fear her.
Fear her.
Um,
Like, what the heck?
Oh, let's
So,
put a
The
jellyfish inside
CGI
this
is really
girl.
bad as well, and the girl, I don't even know what happened.
It's very rare that there's an entire story in the first 10 series of Doctor Who. It's sort of happened a few more times in the Chibnall era, where the Doctor and companion duo can at least make it enjoyable to watch. Even some of the episodes I've slagged off earlier, the Doctor and companion together when they're bouncing off each other, that makes it enjoyable.
But that's because
But
it's
when
Rose and
when
Tennant.
Rose and Ten, sometimes they're fine, but in this one, they're so painful to watch.
No, but it's not
Yeah.
as bad as them in
And
the Indian Slant.
They're not as bad
They
as them in
solve it
India,
all
Slanty.
with love again, and that's just... No.
They absolutely butchered the domestic abuse metaphor, don't they? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, this child's been domestically abused by her father. It's okay. She's just going to sing and it's all going to go away now. Brilliant. Thanks for that. It's just such a weird script, and it makes no sense. Like she draws the TARDIS and the TARDIS disappears, but when she draws the stadium doesn't disappear. She has to draw all the people perfectly to take them, but she just draws loads of little stick people inside the stadium,
Yeah.
and she takes all of them, and then she just decides that I'm going to up the scale and draw the entire planet.
Like, what the heck?
And it's so cheesy in places as well, particularly the Doctor with the torch, and the fact that they have to throw the thing on the Olympic torch because she needs the love. It's a mess.
Yeah.
It's real. The only good scene in it is the last scene when they look up in the sky and he goes, "There's a storm coming," because it's like, okay, next week it's gonna be good episodes with Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. But this week's been crap, so just pretend it's not happening. Oh, right, okay. Oh, maybe we won't agree. We're going to agree on this one again.
Nightmare in Silver.
Nightmare in Silver.
Silver.
Until the Timeless Child happened,
remake
this was...
of the Cybermen is so... They look so robotic. They're not meant to look robotic. They're meant to look half human and half just like they're in a shell. Like, they pulled it off perfectly in the season 10 finale. That is the best...
The Mondasian Cybermen
when
is
they
brilliant.
have, like, just like...
The Iron Man
the
Cybermen
net-
from this one.
Scarier,
They
yeah.
just have the net hat. So
But like these Cybermen, you literally couldn't defeat them, and the children were the most frustrating thing ever. They were like, "Oh, we're so bored." I was like, "You're on another planet. What the
I
heck?"
hate it when they make children be so stereotypically
They do it all
ungrateful
the time in Doctor Who.
teenagers.
They do it all the time.
Yeah,
And
that
in
was...
films, it's so annoying.
And there's such a good guest cast. I mean, Jason Watkins is in this, Tasman Outhwaite's in it.
David.
Warwick Davis is in it. And it's like,
yeah.
it's such a mess, and it wastes all those fantastic actors. And fantastic... it's a real shame, because Neil Gaiman wrote this. He's a brilliant writer, but I think it needed 2 parts to actually feel good. I really don't like a lot of the stuff going on, though, such as the chess match. I understand that's a callback to Curse of Fenric, but it was much better in Curse of Fenric. For a long time, before the Timeless Children happens, in fact, even after I watched The Timeless Children the first time, it wasn't until... It took me a few months before I thought that was the worst episode of the show. For me, for a good long time, Nightmare in Silver was my least favourite episode.
Yeah, it's so bad.
It's painful to watch. It's like some of the episodes, The Lazarus Experiment is rubbish, but I can watch it and be like, this is naff. But it's still watchable. It's still viewable. I think the Saranga Conundrum is sort of maybe... No, actually, the Ghost Monument's in that column as well.
Yeah.
Some of the stories that I've picked, there's still a level of watchability about them. Nightmare in Silver is painful to watch.
It's such a shame that Matt Smith's last series wasn't as good as all his others.
Yeah.
He has some of the strongest series, and then Series 7 just wasn't as good.
This next one really is a shame because
there's not a really bad episode 13.
It's Name of the Doctor because
I put Name of the Doctor.
No, I'm going to disagree big time on this. Last of the Time Lords. I'm not.
Yeah, I wasn't.
I really like Name of the Doctor. I would put Name of the Doctor above Doomsday. I'm going to say that very quietly because I feel like that's controversial. I would put Name of the Doctor above Wedding of River Song. And I would definitely put it above Last of the Time Lords, which I think is a real mess that sort of wastes the first... Utopia and Sound of Drums are brilliant. But Last of the Time Lords has reversing all of time that's happened. It has, the Dobby Doctor, which... I've still not a clue. Is that your power? Prayer. No, it's thought. With satellites. Oh no, he's going to turn back into a real man now.
The Old Doctor is something that no one who's a Doctor Who fan ever talks about. They never talk about it. They literally say like it's never happened.
Well, because it didn't happen.
Well, yeah. But they literally just pretend that it never happened. I never know what people think of it.
There is good points in this one because obviously there's not an out and out bad episode on this list. I like Tom Ellis's inclusion in this, and there's some really good stuff. And possibly my favourite Tennant scene of all is the scene when he's yelling in John Sims' face, "Regenerate!" And he goes, "I guess you didn't know me so well. I refuse." And then he when he dies, and then they play This Is Gallifrey, and he sort of rocks his body. That's such a great moment. But I'm still not over the fact that they conclude the entire thing by them just thinking the name Doctor, and then suddenly he can grow. I think that's such a stupid ending.
But you also see a lot of Martha's development as a character, in that she travelled around the world for a year. Despite the Doctors never really cared about her, she still did this for him and travelled around the world for a year. Obviously, she's doing it for everyone else, but...
Yeah, I do like her. And
at the end, she walks away, and that makes me really like her as a companion, that she's... Like, her character development's so good.
Are you prepared to agree with me that Last of the Time Lords is the worst?
No.
Okay.
The Name of the Doctor, I thought, was so disappointing.
What? I think it's a great episode.
I was really interested.
No,
I think it was really good. But I was really interested in how Clara ended up in so many different aspects of like places in the Doctor. And I just thought that stepping into this time stream seemed so simple that I was just disappointed with it. Like, it seems like something a child could come up with. Oh, it's just kind of
But it's the perfect story arc for the series that leads up to the 50th. Because I flipping love all those scenes when she's walking through the Doctor's time stream and you see all the different Doctors.
Yeah, I do like that.
The cliffhanger at the end of that episode is the second best, behind the Pandora Opens cliffhanger, the introducing John Hurt as the Doctor.
Yeah.
You can't even contemplate how big that was. I watched that when it aired.
So did I.
And I remember being like, what? That was so huge. I still love it. And it's got Strax, Jenny, and Vastra. I don't see how you can put that one up as the worst of them.
I thought it would be so much more complicated.
John Pertwee rides around in Bessie in that story.
Yeah.
End of conversation here.
Bessie.
Who won?
I've got that number plate.
The number plate is from the car. And I really like Richard E. Grant's Great Intelligence as well. And the Whispermen.
Screwdriver as well.
Yeah. I'm disagreeing with you on that one. But that is the end of this video, and we've been talking about the worst possible series. And just out of interest, what's the worst possible special or Christmas special? Because it's not a Whittaker one.
Oh no, because there's
Resolution's decent, and they just can't be bothered to give us any specials. I would say Runaway Bride. I don't really like that one.
Yeah,
I love Catherine Tate.
I do enjoy Catherine Tate, but I would say Runaway Bride.
Yeah.
I don't really like Russell Davies' Christmas specials.
Yeah.
Santa robots and
Invasion could be in there.
crazy grenade bobbles. It's all a bit weird.
Oh yeah. What's No, yeah, I reckon it would be that one. I'm trying to think all the way through, but I think, yeah, it would be that one.
Yeah.
Runaway Bride.
So, next time on the Doctor Who discussion, we'll be discussing the underrated episodes. See you next time.